Hi everyone. In this video, I will be explaining the directions for writing your myth story. You will write your myth story in a Google slideshow. Now, this is the title slide. On the title slide, write your story title here. Just like the instructions say, delete these instructions when finished. Also, you chose between 4 options for your myth stories. Please write which option number you chose here. Again, delete these instructions when you're finished. Make sure your name is on your Google slideshow. Next, you're going to have a starring slide on slide 2. Here you're going to write the names of your mythological characters or gods or creatures and their powers below. After you're done, delete these instructions. You can just fill them in right here. Next, on slide 3, you are going to first introduce your setting, okay? Again, delete these instructions after you've read these and understood these. In the text box on this side, you are going to be introducing the setting. Okay, and now if you need more than one slide to explain your setting, you are welcome to duplicate this slide. On the other side, you are to find a picture that shows your setting and insert it here. Again, please delete these instructions. Next, you will introduce your characters and their supernatural abilities or powers. Do the writing on this side. Insert a picture on this side. On the next slide, you will introduce the conflict of your story. Do the writing for the conflict on this side. Find a picture or pictures that show the conflict and insert it here. Next, you are going to create some rising action. Think about ways to build up suspense and think about ways that your character reacts to issues. On the slide, we want you to include your character's first attempt to solving the problem or conflict. Again, you can have a lot of creativity with this. This is just a general structure. If you need another slide to do this first attempt, go ahead and do so. Again, find a nice picture to go along with it. This next slide is attempt number 2, and the following slide is attempt number 3. So your character in total should have 3 attempts at resolving the problem or conflict. Then you are to create the climax or turning point of your story. So this should be what everything is building towards. Characters are going to be running into the primary problem. They might reach a breaking point. This is up to you. Again, if you need to duplicate this slide, you are welcome to. Finally, create a resolution in your story. Now, there's multiple ways to create a resolution for your story. How does your character solve the problem? How do they find a new normal in the world? How are the loose ends all tied up? Again, if you need to duplicate this slide, you are absolutely welcome to. And then find a picture that shows the resolution, what this new normal looks like, and insert it on this side. Now what I'm going to do is go over the rubric for this assignment with you. Now, this rubric has been created to match the format of this Google slideshow. Each slide has point values attached to it, so listen carefully. Okay, for your story structure, your story needs to include a beginning, a middle, and an end. For your beginning, make sure you introduce your setting, introduce your characters, and introduce your conflict. 3 points total. Your middle should have 3 attempts at solving the problem. It should also include the climax or the turning point in your story. This is worth 4 points. Your story should also include an ending. Again, this is a resolution in which your character either solves the problem, finds a new normal in the world, has loose ends tied up, or things just end up making sense. Then, for your characters, you need to make sure that you include 4 characters, mythological characters, gods, creatures, from the myths that you have already read. That is worth 4 points. Then 4 more points are attached as long as you demonstrate that your characters are utilizing their powers, their supernatural abilities or skills that are shown in the original myths. Make sure to include this throughout your story. Find ways in your writing that you can demonstrate supernatural events. This relates to the next portion of the rubric, the mythological exaggeration. So, you need to make sure that you show the exaggerated events from the original myths and that your myths show the magical or supernatural powers in action. So we're looking for these things in your writing. And finally, worth 2 points, make sure you put pictures or illustrations that you find that complement your story really well throughout the rest of the story. So in total, your myth story is going to be worth 22 points. I hope this rubric helps you break down and see exactly what you're expected to do. I know that this seems very confined and structured, but know that you have a lot of creative liberties. Again, you are welcome to duplicate slides. You are welcome to mix up the order if you would really like to. However, this will make it easier on everyone just to follow this story structure. Another thing to consider, make sure that your myth has the same kind of exaggerated and mythological tone of the myths that you've already read. I encourage you to look back at your favorite myths and look at the language. Look at look at how those stories take place. Try to match the way the whole story unfolds and how the conflict unfolds, how characters are introduced. I encourage you to look back at those and really notice how the story unfolds and try to mimic that in your own writing. If you have any other questions, we are so happy to help, and we're really excited to read your myth stories, and we really hope that this is a fun escape from everything that's going on